Okay. Hey everybody, how's it going? Imani Cole's here, and we are doing a chat all about singleness with Loury. Hey Loury, how's it going?
Hey, Manny, how you doing?
Really good. So just to give everybody some background before I just hand it on over, I love this topic. I love talking to people about where they're at in life, where they're looking forward to going in life. So this is just my opportunity to do that, and it's going to be centered on singleness. She'll share however much she feels comfortable sharing that is personal, and then also maybe general philosophy type stuff. But I'm just so excited to jump in. So to begin, I would love for you to share just a little bit about yourself um, and maybe how long you've been single, and let's just kind of jump right in there.
11, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17. Um, Actually, yeah. Sorry. So I'm Lori again. Um, I've been single for about 7 years. Um, and I am Hispanic. My cultural background is Salvadorian from Central America, from El Salvador. I currently live in New York. So whoop whoop to the New Yorkers. um, yeah, so I've been, like I said, I've been single for about 7 years. It's been a long, interesting journey. And the reason why I say journey is because there's a lot of trials, tribulations, and things I had to kind of stumble upon, discover on my own, discover through others. As a matter of fact, part of the journey is also not only discovering things about yourself, but kind of identifying things about others that can lead you to become your bigger self, like your higher self. Especially accepting the fact that you may not fit certain cultural norms, but learning to embrace that you don't have to have the approval of somebody else for you to be happy, or to have to be somebody's other half to feel like you are full. That's to be honest with you, like as a summary of the past 7 years. Um, Within the 7 years, I'm not gonna lie, it is literally the beginning of 2017 that I actually embarked on the what I call the what is it, the path and the journey to exploring myself and learning how to love myself, what I call at 100%. Although I should say limitless, because I shouldn't put a number to it, because it's limitless. Because the thing is that in order to be able to feel fulfilled and feel happy with yourself, you kind of tend to notice that you kind of attract what's meant to be positive in your life that way, versus having to seek out somebody to fill the voids. When when you're trying to look for partners, because that's usually what I notice as a pattern. A lot of us tend to kind of look for in a partner is like, oh, that person's gonna be my other half because they're gonna fulfill, like, the fact that I'm lonely, the fact that my parents are pressuring me to to have a partner, or it makes me feel better if I'm helping somebody else. Like, those are just examples. I'm not These are not personal examples right now. The only personal of mine would be, there was a time that I used to think that me surrendering and kind of sacrificing for others, and me extending lending a helping hand to help fix these people, because I had that misconception that I'm here trying to fix others, when the whole time I was blinded to the fact that I was not focusing on myself and trying to fix my own problems. So there's a lot of things you kind of learn here and there. And then culturally, my cultural background, as a Salvadorian woman, there's so many things that I'm completely like the opposite of what the culture usually teaches us. The culture teaches us to be serviceable, that we have to, kind of like have the man lead the head of the house, and we have to kind of like just obey, have children, have that type of mentality. And for me, it was something that I wasn't raised with. Both my mom and my dad were very open parents, very open minded when it came to those type of things. So for me, it was like, like a shock factor that, I have uncles that are from my mom's side of the family, where all their children are technically kind of being raised, with the traditional ways, and then I have some other uncles that kind of, the kids, they've explored their life, the lifestyles in different ways as well. So that's what I got so far.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So, what would you say is the best part about being single?
Best part about being single, whew, so much freedom. The freedom of waking up whenever you want. And sorry to be a little bit too open there, but the freedom to just come from work, remove the bra, remove everything, and just be free. Walk around naked in the home. Um, I am a big traveler. So for me, when I travel, because I do travel, I've traveled by myself, I've ventured out of myself. It's been very easy for me to get to meet others. And also in trips, I don't have to worry about like having to worry about whether the other person's gonna be ready at a certain time, if we're gonna be able to go out at a certain time. I don't have to worry about discussions of, oh, should we go to place A, should we go to place B, or have to kind of customize my initial itinerary. I can just go spontaneous, and if I want to see the ruins, I go see the ruins. If I want to stay in the pool that day, I stay in the pool. But the biggest thing for me is because I'm a big people connector, so I would say the fact that I can just like get to meet new people is like the thrill of like, being alone, and also, making decisions without it being affected or influenced by others.
Hmm. That's awesome. And so, what would you say is the worst part about it?
The worst part of being single. Well, I would say it depends on the person. Because for me, from my understanding of how I remember myself in the past, from growing up as a child to now as an adult, there was a time frame where I wanted to feel accepted by society, by my family members, by my friends. Because the worst part would be when you're getting labeled. That's one of the things that happened to me. Like, because I never had any interest in trying to pursue any relationships as a teenager. For example, there was a time frame where my family, my not my immediate family being mom, dad, brother, sister, grandma, it was more like my aunts and my uncles. They would tell me that, ask me if I was, gay or something, because of the fact that I never pursued a relationship. There's nothing wrong with that neither, but to me, just it bothered me because it's like, why do you have to have a label? Like, I'm just Loury, just trying to pursue my career, and that's all that matters to me. Why do I have somebody? Why do I have to be with somebody? And I was, I gained a lot of success when I was, when I was in my teenage years. So I was doing internships really early on, like when I was a sophomore in high school, and I was doing internships with like, college students. So for me, that was my goal. Um, the other thing is that there's times as you get older, because now I'm in my 30s. As you get older, there is, certain time frames, especially at least for us females, when we get, our sensitive, monthly friend, you kind of fall into like this mind frame is like, oh, sometimes I feel lonely, you know, and it's like you kind of cry sometimes, you get emotional when you're watching like those like romantic movies. But other than that, to be honest with you, I think in a nutshell, like my emotions from how they were transpired before, where I would get super frustrated because I was getting labeled, to now as an adult, just like, having my moments where like, oh, sometimes I feel lonely. But you know what? I'm enjoying this, and this, and that. Like, I'm enjoying the fact that I'm by myself. I'm enjoying that I don't have to respond to anybody else. Um, and I'm just enjoying the fact that I am attracting so much positive stuff in my life, being by myself and getting to know myself, that I know that I'll be able to teach these values and get to improve myself. So when I do have children in the future, because I don't have children yet, um, I know I will have a lot better foundation of myself, and therefore I'll be able to educate my kids not only to learn how to survive or how to make money, but I'm going to teach them how to manage their emotions, or at least express their emotions in a better, through better outlets or in a better manner. And also, I believe if I'm having children with a healthier state of mind, I can also teach that, to my kids.
Hmm.
So there's like so many things you can, you know, come out with the exploration of yourself when you're by yourself.
Hmm. So, what's something that you've learned maybe over the past 7 years about yourself that you only learned because you kind of had that time and that freedom?
Well, at first, when I had recently broken up with my ex fiance because we were engaged, at first I had guilt, um, because I still I didn't want to admit that I still had feelings for him. Um, but it was more guilt than anything because I just felt bad, because I had to I had kind of had to let him down. But we all had. Luckily, we didn't leave in any it wasn't like a bad breakup. But at the same time, it was just like that. The fact that I had to be the breaker upper, it was very difficult for me, especially since he was technically my first relationship. Um, he was my first for everything, many other things. So it was a very difficult thing for me to let go. It took me, I would, I would say like I was in denial probably for like 3 years out of the 7.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in denial for like 3 years. That was a long time period. And the reason why the denial lasted so long, it prolonged, was because I ended up distracting myself with people in between. Like
Like
guys
placeholder.
or
Hmm.
young people, like young people, like not that young, but like guys that were like 5 years or probably like a couple years younger than me.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie, there was one guy that was like super. I know, shut up. There was just this like there was like these two people that I dated that were really really young, because the reason why I think it's not that I was purposely attracted to the young people. It's just that for me, I was more attracted to the person that like gave me attention, the people um that kind of were like kind of giving me what I felt that I was missing of myself.
right.
Like I was getting like there was one guy that like I was trying to help him out to get better grades and stuff, because he was in college when I met him, and whatchamacallit, he ended up like he was doing a lot of bad things, like he was like using drugs and stuff like that, and I ended up kind of like helping him to switch, like his mindset.
Hmm.
So I kind of like wasted. I feel like I wasted my time toward myself because I was here trying to fix somebody
Hmm.
when I had to take care of myself and kind of like accept the fact that I had gone through a breakup instead of
Hmm.
kind of like denying the fact that I've been through it. Then
Right.
there was another young guy that I ended up dating that he he was great, with me and my family, because he ended up helping me and my family like move out from my parents' like old home
Hmm.
when we used to live there. And he was mostly like kind of helping me, like I'd say with like the emotional portion of like what I was missing emotionally, because of the
Hmm.
fact that he would like go far and beyond and help me and my family to move out of the home. And he was very supportive with things like that. But obviously that didn't work out because he was one of those guys that he would do whatever he wanted, to like he would play the music for you, but then when it came down to the real deal of life, he was just pretending. It wasn't something that he was legitimate with. I am grateful, for the fact that he helped me. But then I realized that he was more of that person that was filling my emotional void. The other guy was filling my void of me, kind of feeling better about myself by helping somebody else.
Hmm.
And then there was somebody else that there was other people that I dated that were kind of a little bit closer to my age range, but it was just distractions.
Hmm.
But the fact is that because I was worried about others and not focusing on myself, that's why I entered that denial stage for so long. Um, and I feel like it took me a while to admit that it was a very hard thing to do.
Hmm.
It was after that other guy, uh, that I actually it was after that guy I dated somebody that was close to my age, and it didn't work out because he also was talking to me about his ex a lot, so kind of gave me like a ring of the bells, like wait a minute, like if he's talking about his ex and I'm talking about our ex, that means that we're not over anything.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because he kept telling me that he wanted to be in a relationship with me. I thought it was a great idea, but at the same time I'm like, but wait a minute, like that's when I started having the kind of like the realizations, like this is not healthy. This is not going to be healthy. So, obviously he cut ties, and it was thanks to him that it made me kind of transition and say, you know what, like I need to start realizing the fact that I need to let go of my ex. because what was holding me and my ex together was the fact that we had a dog together, and I would still see, my dog. I love my dog to death. His name is Joshi, but I don't have him. He has him right now. So the fact that we were still kind of having that contact,
Mhm.
it was making it difficult for me to
Mhm.
to kind of let go. And then I had to gradually do it until finally I succeeded last year. Um, my ex ended up like kind of closing because he used to own a video store, and he ended up closing the store, and it made me helping him out to do that. It made me realize like the reason why I let him go. And I said to myself, I'm like, you know what? There's a reason why things happen. There's a reason why there's certain people that come into your life and they come out of your life. But this is the time you have to learn to accept that this is over. You made your choice for a reason, and it's a valid choice. Don't question yourself anymore. Just move forward. And it is because of the events that happened in 2016. That's the reason why this New Year's of December 2016 was when I made the choice to go and watch the Times Square ball drop.
Mhm.
And I went by myself. It was awesome. I got lucky. I had a friend that I knew that he works for the Guardian Angels, and he got me like VIP access. So I was happy about that.
Mhm.
And I set that goal, and here I am, 2017, and I've discovered so much about myself. Like I realized that I was a codependent. I realized that I was there was some unresolved issues from my past that I had to take care of. And now I'm in the path of like exploring meditation, exploring spirituality. So there's a lot of things that are going on. I also had a promotion in my job after 5 years of being with them. I
Yeah.
have a new car. There's like so many positive things coming through.
Mhm.
Even some new friends coming in too that I never expected. Like there was like so many people that wanted to hang out with me and talk to me, and I never acknowledged them because I never saw beyond what I had in front of me.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of things you learn.
Wow. Wow, I love that. There's a topic I want to get into that before we get into that, I wanted to say I love what you mentioned about each person representing the fulfillment of certain voids and how um, I think that that's something that's important to address in singleness. Like sometimes I think people think that singleness just means, oh, I'm not dating anybody, or I'm not in a relationship.
Yeah.
Uh, and so they'll feel like they're doing singleness well or in a healthy way because
Hmm.
they're not in, like, at least I'm not in a bad relationship. But sometimes if we're not careful, can get into situationships where we're like with a guy, with somebody who is,
I like that one. I'm not wow. The new term. I've
yeah,
never heard
I
that
saw it
before.
somewhere. I was like,
Yeah.
I gotta grab that. But they're not committing, and we're not committed, but we're like halfway in and out, which is not really where we want to be. It kind of feels good because it's like, oh, this person will go to the movies with me, or this person will go to these events with me, or this person will stay on the phone with me for hours, or whatever it is, the void that we've
Hmm.
chosen to allow them to fill. But that's not healthy either, because then what happens when you meet the person that you really want to be with? You actually have built a tie with that person that you actually need to cut off because they were your placeholder. That was the word I kind of threw out there when you were talking earlier.
Placeholder. Yeah, that is true. That's kind of how it felt. And it's funny that you mentioned that because the first guy that I mentioned, the one that was he was getting bad grades and he was doing a lot of drugs and stuff. It's funny because toward the end when I let him go, I told him I'm like, you know what? I feel tired because I feel like I'm being a placeholder.
Mm,
Like while I was giving like 80% of myself to him, like trying to make sure that he succeeded and he got good grades. And it's true. I mean, he did. I achieve what I was aiming for? Yes, I did. He even changed his old like some of the like his lifestyle. He got rid of certain people. And not because I told him to get rid of any. This is something that he did on his own. Like he started realizing, the friends that weren't really friends, and then like some people they usually like friend of need and then your actual friends. So he learned how to wean those out. Um, it was with him that I told him I'm like at the end because at the end I was now beginning to crave to have some form of relationship with him because I had 2 years of spending time with him. It's
mhm,
not like we officially entered any type of relationships. It was the situationship, like you said, right? Um, but toward the end, I kind of wanted something more solid, and then I told him it's like I feel like I'm being like a peg, like a placeholder.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I just learned this phrase recently. It's my favorite phrase now. It's called propinquity. Propinquity. And that is a social, I think, a social psychological phenomenon where we become attracted to someone simply because we're exposed to them more. So literally you're just like around somebody long enough and you're just,
I'm sorry, you're tempting me to write this down.
what do you say?
Uh-huh. You're so tempting me to write that term down. I kind
Oh,
of
I will
wanna
send it to you, girl. No problem. I'll send it to you.
I'll jot it down.
Yeah. But it's this idea that if I hang around you long enough, we go to the same classes, we work at the same place, we go to enough, after work drinks, all of a sudden I'll be like, maybe you're my type, maybe, like, or maybe you're the second type that I never knew I had, all the other stuff. And
That is so true. That is so true. So basically, you're whatever you're exposed to, you kind of get comfortable with, and then therefore
right,
you end up kind of like reanalyzing, re kind of remolding. That's the way I'm interpreting it. Like you're remolding yourself to kind of like, oh, maybe it would work this way or work that way.
right. And the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, it's a natural thing, and I think in some ways it's a good and healthy thing. Like sometimes you might connect with someone that is good for you, but they're not your actual type. But like over time, you can kind of see like how you can actually be compatible. But on the other hand, it can kind of be like your Achilles heel, where somebody that you just work with or somebody that you're around all of a sudden becomes a potential and
Mm-hmm.
like they're not good for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you mentioned that because I feel like personally in my own experience, what did
Mm-hmm.
you want to say?
There's something I want to add. I want,
Mm-hmm.
especially public is looking at this right now. There is one thing that I learned literally recently, like about a week or two ago. This singleness is not only something you need to apply to a romantic relationship. This is something that you could also apply when it comes to friendships. And my story behind that is because my best friend of 8 years, she's a female. Um, we were having a conversation, like she was confiding with me in something, and I think normally I'm so used to joking around with her about things that I ended up saying something to her that was in the moment I didn't have any bad intent, but the way it came out, the words that I chose were not the proper words, and therefore she got, very offended. She got really upset and she felt hurt. And then I realized that, like probably within a couple of hours because of the way that she responded to me, because this is all via text. Again, this is the reason why I'm not a fanatic of texting, but sometimes you got to do it. Um, like my friend, we were texting and whatever I told her, like her reaction, something told me intuitively, like she's mad, she got upset, I said something wrong. So I decided to reread the entire, conversation, and I'm like, you know what? Ah, Jesus, I just realized I said it the wrong way. So I went ahead and I reached out to her the evening of, and I told her, listen, I apologize. I didn't mean to come off, dickish. Forgive my language, but yeah, dickish with you. That was not my intent. And she never responded to me. And then her and I, we had we're gonna go out and hang out on on Friday of that week that the whole situation happened. And then I reached out to her that Friday because I saw she didn't get in contact with me. And she told me, she's like, I don't want an apology from you. It's not gonna make me feel any better. I would never do that to you or any other friends. And I went ahead and I understood where she was coming from, and she ended up disclosing something that happened to a family member of her relevant to, the comment I had made.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, she never told me that before, because if she would have told me that, like if I had that knowledge, I would have, I would have never brought it up. I would have never disrespected that portion of her life. So, and it's not, again, I didn't do it with intent. So, like her response was like she didn't want to get an apology from me. She didn't want to hear an apology from me. She just like when I asked her, I was like, okay, I understand, you need your time. Would you be able to like can I see you talk to you in person? Like I want to address the situation in person with you because, I respect you, I honored you. I rather, resolve the issue face to face than have to resolve it over text. and she just bluntly told me no. And then after that, she never responded to me, didn't want to talk to me.
Mhm.
And because it was like close to her birthday week, I ended up reaching out to her during her birthday week, to wish her a happy birthday. But at the same time, because I was holding in the fact that I couldn't talk to her, and it bothered me that she wasn't giving me an opportunity when she has given the opportunity to other individuals that have hurt her in the past, to communicate with her and talk to her to fix the problem. That I ended up kind of like, rolling the ball and kind of letting her know, hey, listen, I've been there for you. We've never had any, what is it? We've never had any hairs on our tongues. We've always disclosed and been upfront with each other, like what happened, like I wasn't understanding why she made the choice to remove me as a friend, not to have me in her life anymore. Enough to say that like toward the end, I ended up just telling her, listen, if you choose to pursue, the friendship further, you know where to reach me at. And then if not, then thank you for allowing us to cross paths. Thank you for the friendship. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the great adventures. Um, so it kind of felt like a breakup, and it was not a romantic relationship. It was a friendship that was for 8 years, and here we are, one mishap. The fact, and for me, it bothered me because it's not like I was going against her and telling her that she was wrong and I was right. I admitted to the fact that I messed up and I wanted to clarify the problem, but she didn't give me an opportunity. you know. So in the long run, it's something you can apply not just only to romantic relationships, but also to friendships too.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
Things that you learn.
Mhm. Absolutely. It definitely does. And I definitely know what it is to look up and feel like people who've been there for so long are gone. And it's kind of, it's not easy.
Mm-mm.
Um, and so I definitely feel for you with that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other thing that I was going to say, and I think we talked at the same time a little bit, um, and then I just had you go first with that. So thank you for sharing that. 'Cause I think that's very true. And the other
Mm-hmm.
thing I was going to share was just that I personally believe that in my own journey, I was a big fan of placeholders and void fillers that were temporary. And I always thought to myself, and I put this in my book, I always thought to myself, like, well, I'll just swap them out. Like, when I meet somebody who I actually want a relationship with, I'll just swap out the void filler for the person that I want to be in a relationship with. And like have that person do it. So like for example, if I was going to the
Oh,
movies,
so kind of like
mhm,
having your backup friend per se. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So like if somebody was like going to the movies with me or something, and then like I don't know, next month I meet somebody who's actually interested in dating. When that person says, "Oh, do you want to go to the movies?" I'll just be like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm busy," or something like that.
Oh, got you. Nah, I don't. That's interesting because
Hmm.
relationship wise, I've never jumped from one person to another. I don't know. I've always been like that. That's weird.
Yeah.
I've always tend to
So
stick to
like
like
for
that one
me,
person. But I admire you because bless you, child. How did you keep track of all those names? Bless you. That's all I gotta say. That's the reason why I
well,
think I
that's the
don't
thing.
do it.
Like, we weren't like romantic. We were literally like just friends. But in my mind, in my heart, I would kind of use them as void fillers. Like I would want to be their friend, but back in my mind that the only reason I wanted to hang out is because I was single. Like so that's why I'm such a huge
Oh,
proponent now of like
interesting.
just loving yourself enough to like be able to go to the movies by yourself and not feel bad about it. Be able to go out and eat and travel like you said and not feel like, oh, this could be better if I had such and such and such. Because I felt like for so long I was kind of afraid to be alone. So I kept my life full of people that really didn't, serve a healthy purpose.
It's so funny you mentioned that because I was so afraid to go. What is it like to the movies by myself? The first I don't remember what year the Avengers came out. That movie, The Avengers, was the first movie that I went to go see by myself, and I had a blast. I had a blast because I was surrounded by so many couples, which is funny. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting, I'm like in between two couples here, and I'm like, This is not that bad. At first, don't get me. The first 10 minutes of the movie, I was just scared. Like, forgive me, but like shitless.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a very interesting experience. You
Mhm.
know, from learning to discover that being by yourself is not a bad thing.
I love that. I love that so much. So, well, the last thing I wanted to kind of get your insight on is I had this idea. I did a video about it recently. I just got the idea this morning, but I wanted to do like a series of gifts just to give to single people. Just feel like lots of times, like the gifts and the celebratory events are all saved for later. Like you get a gift if you're engaged, you get a party if you have a shower, or if you're married, or if you have a baby, or if you have. There's like there has to be some type of milestone that you hit.
Hmm.
But one of the things I believe is that I wonder if I would have had such big issues with where I was in life as a single woman if I was celebrated right where I was, if I was surrounded by people that loved being single, if I was told things like go
Mm.
get a massage, like go treat yourself, go pamper yourself, go have fun.
Oh, don't
You know?
you say that. Okay, keep going, and I'll tell you in a minute.
So
Oh,
I'm dying to
wow.
hear your story because you look like you almost fell out right there. But the last thing I
Ah,
wanted to say after you share your story is I wanted to hear if I put together packages, what types of things would you think that you would want to receive? What type of things would be fun for you to receive for you or for anybody else who's single that would help them kind of get their creative juices flowing of like I'm having date night with myself at home. Like, do I want pumpkin spice candle? Do I want fuzzy socks where after I do my pedicure? Do I want like movie tickets or like those little movie gift card type things? Because I'm gonna start doing that this month,
mhm,
and I believe that everyone should be celebrated just right where they are, right where they are. And I had some ideas in mind of different packages, like hashtag you look so good, like just pat yourself on the back because you look so good, or like
yeah.
you woke up this morning, like it's a big deal to adult period, like waking up in the morning, going to work, dealing with family and friends and everybody in between, loving yourself, keeping your mind in a healthy place, like you were talking about, meditating on positive things. It's hard to just exist, like it's just not easy to do that.
Mm,
And that is worth celebrating. And we should do that long before somebody else is in the picture because someone else being in the picture doesn't make us worthy of that. So that's why I wanted to do the idea. And I just wanted to hear some suggestions from you and also that story
mhm.
about treating yourself and just loving yourself more.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because that's actually what I've been doing. I have invested so much on spa packages, learning how to keep routine for myself because that was a big one that I disliked routine with a passion back, when I was, dealing with the whole coping of the breakup and stuff. Um, just to get up in the morning and kind of give yourself those 5 minutes to, I mean, everybody has a different routine. Some people wake up and make coffee. Some people wake up and just stretch out. Just stretching out, wow, you just feel like you're a new person when you wake up. It's having, I feel that like having a routine is not something bad. That's one of the things that I definitely learned. And part of the routine is giving time to yourself, not to worry about checking your email because you got to see what work is about. Not to be what is it, distracted doing something else while you're having lunch. Like that's one of the things I used to do. I used to be on my phone a lot while I was having lunch. And you're kind of, in a sense, kind of disrespecting yourself by not giving yourself time, to dedicate to you. That's why I started laughing when you were mentioning about the spa packages because I invested not only on spa packages but also I'm invested on taking my meditation classes. I know some people say, "Oh, meditation is about sitting down and putting your arms up." There's more to it. It's more in depth.
Mhm.
And meditation, I didn't realize that it actually enhances your mental state. And enhancing your mental state, it takes out any leftover emotions internally that you may have, and it will actually like help you to achieve things that you thought were impossible when you're here sitting down, feeling down, oh my God, I'm by myself, I'm not good enough, blah blah blah. On the contrary, meditation opens you up to think, I love myself. There's nothing wrong in being by myself, and therefore I have to address and fix myself. Like, it may sound selfish, but believe it or not, it's not selfish. One of the things that my instructor told us in the class was that how can you give to others when you are, half full? Of course, it comes down to the like half full, half empty cup analogy.
Mhm.
And it's not whether you see it on a positive or negative side. Regardless if you're half full or half empty, you're at half staff.
Mhm.
If you're thirsty, you have two options. Either you get a full glass of water or juice or whatever your preference is of drink, and you're super, super thirsty. Will you go and select a full cup of glass or a half cup of glass?
Mhm.
And that's something that how I interpreted the analogy, when she was explaining it. So that's one of the things you definitely have to like dedicate, to yourself once you start exploring and addressing whatever issues. And for the love of God, if anything comes up and you feel you're gonna cry, just cry it out. You have to feel your feelings, especially guys out there, especially men, because that by society and by whatever the definition of maleness is, normally men are told they're not supposed to cry. Crying is part of being human, and part of being human is feeling whatever comes up. you know you have to, obviously, crying should be something you do on your own, privately. But if it comes up, like your eyes are swelling when you're driving, just let it come out. And you're by yourself, don't worry about anybody else. That kind of thing. And then when it comes to the packages, as you were mentioning, there was some things that I actually like. If you're gonna do like movie night, for me, like I told you, movie night was the initial stage for me to realize that being by yourself, there's nothing wrong. So if you want to do like popcorn, popcorn with like movie ticket or movie discounts, you know that would be great. Spa packages, usually one of the biggest things that a lot of people neglect are like their eyes. Like, they do facials, they do body massages, but your eyes are the things that see and view the world, and they're also the windows to the soul for whomever, for yourself and for your partner. Because when you look at yourself in the mirror, when you're at that stage where you're not loving yourself, is a very difficult thing to do. So I challenge anybody out there, try to look at yourself in the mirror directly in the eyes for 3 minutes when you're feeling the way you're feeling, that you feel you're not good enough. And then as you slowly progress with your successes of like embracing the fact that you're by yourself and that's the best thing that can happen to you in your life, you start seeing that when you look at yourself in that mirror, you look at your eyes directly, you are going to love yourself so much, and not in a not narcissistic manner. You're going to love yourself because you're going to be able to look at yourself for the full 3 minutes in that mirror. And I did that activity, and trust me, it took me a while. And what led me to do that was a poem that was introduced to me by a yoga teacher, because I was also doing yoga. So yoga mats would be a great idea, by the way. um, it's by Dale Winbrow. I'm not sure what year the poem is, but it's called "The Man in the Glass."
Mhm.
I semi memorized it, but I don't I don't want to like
Recite
say it
it.
the wrong way. But like the main message of that poem is that if you end up worrying about what your wife, your mother, your brother, your sister thinks about you, about what others think about you, they could give you a million pats in the back and congratulate you and to, kind of give you this encouragement, this kudos and kind of like give you, celebrate you. But if you do not accept the man that's staring at you back at the glass, then you're cheating yourself of loving yourself and just enjoying life as a whole. That's
Mhm.
my understanding of what the poem is. So if you guys want to, you could Google it, or if not, I'll send you the link and then you can share it with everybody. It's
Mhm.
an excellent poem. It'll definitely bring up a lot of things that you kind of wonder, and you should do that 3 minute glass. What is a mirror challenge? See how it goes.
Mhm. That's so awesome. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing your story and chatting with me. I learned so much about you in the past like 30 minutes. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
um,
trust me, girl. We can keep chit chatting. There's so much more, but I gave you kind of like a, kind of like a overview of the past 7 years. But the main thing, like I tell, tell everybody, like right, I could be here, like, talking, or some people could say preaching. Oh, yeah, it's easy, it's easy. It is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I could tell you, oh yeah, it's a beautiful thing, it's a beautiful feeling, but until you experience it yourself, and you have the the drive and the ambition that you want to perform the change within yourself, then you'll be able to succeed. But if you're expecting for others to push you, to motivate you, to tell you, you know, hey, do you want to do this with me? No, this is a journey. You have to make the decision to do it on your own. Does it take a while? Yes. Does it take a lot of falls, trials, and tribulations? Yes, it does. But you have to have the determination, and you have to be a willing participant for change.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, thank you so much. This has been so great. And I love that you brought up so many different things. I really think a lot of people will be able to connect with various parts of your story. So, again, thanks for being so transparent because this is online. So,
I don't mind. I don't mind. Hey, if it's to help anybody, that's what I'm here for, And then if they want to reach out to me, by all means, everybody kind of needs to exchange the stories. They
right.
always say there's always two sides to a story.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know. Maybe your side might be the one that can help somebody else, or just exchanging stories, like how you and I are here chit-chatting too. Getting the different perspectives, and then kind of eventually connecting the dots to kind of bring what the common consensus is of each one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, you'll be able to move mountains if you want to. So yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, I guess we'll end it here. And thanks again for those tips. I'm gonna like
Yeah.
rewatch this and take notes on what you said.
Mhm. Yeah, if I have
And
any
like I
more
said, thanks
ideas for the packages, it'll come up. But just right now, it's like I'm like a little bit blurred with it.
yeah, yeah. Okay, awesome. Well, thanks again, and thanks everybody for tuning in. And awesome. Have a great night. Bye
Ciao.
bye.
Good night, everybody.